There is no question that a lot of people aspire to be millionaires in their lifetime. Most people sit back and when they hear about somebody who is a millionaire, they automatically think about themselves being called that way, either for the pleasure and the good feeling of being a millionaire, or maybe from the impact that you can create by becoming one. There is no question America has over how multi-million millionaires in America today. And the journey to becoming a millionaire has never been made easier until the advent and the democratization of the stock market. And when I say this, a lot of people think it is hype. It is not hype. This is serious stuff. Because on the US stock market, I truly believe that is the easiest path to wealth for everyday people who aspire to make something significant of their life. There is no question America is the most entrepreneurial nation in the world. America encourages people to create their own businesses, become their own bosses, generate value out of the sweat of their hand and the ingenuity of their heads. But most people really aspire for that, but will not be able to get there. And you know why? Just not because they don't have the energy they desire, but also because it's just hard to build a successful business. About 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, right? 70% of people aspire to be their own bosses, to be their own business owners, but only 3% of people end up doing that. A lot of people don't have the spine, they don't have the ingenuity, they don't have the holding and the staying power to hang in there. I know that because a few years ago, I got fired from an IT job 3 years ago where I was making double six figures. And I decided I wasn't going to work for nobody and I was going to build a business of my own. I know how tempting that is. You go to bed sometimes at night and you wake up with anxiety because you're worried about the fact that you no longer have that guaranteed paycheck that was coming in, whether you worked hard or not, whether you showed up 100% or not, right? You start asking yourself on days whether you made the right decision because it gets scary, it gets intimidating. And as a human being, you are questioning yourself if you made the right decision by quitting at that time or by deciding that you were no longer going to work for nobody, you are going to work for yourself. So it is important to understand that the stock market is a path that is designed to help facilitate your progress towards financial independence and towards the ability to build a life of meaning, a life of significance, and a life by which you could sit back and be proud of what you've accomplished so far. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about how you can get from $5 to $1 million in your life. And this is interesting because from the time I understood the concept of investing, I understood the concept of, you know, compound interest, I realized that there is no excuse. Everybody really genuinely has a path to becoming a millionaire. Now, there are three ways you can really become a millionaire in America. The first one is through building a business of your own. And when you build that business, it has to be a business that can generate enough profits or that you can scale to a level where you can generate income that builds your profit into millionaireship. The second way is investing in real estate. Investing in real estate could be investing in multi-family homes, in single-family homes, in apartment buildings, in real estate trusts, in real estate syndications. These are all different real estate vehicles to which you could build and become a millionaire and build wealth. But of course, there are a lot of barriers to entry with these first two because the first one, building a business, like I said earlier, has a lot of challenges that goes with that. The second one, becoming a real estate investor, it takes some capital to start investing in real estate. There is also different kinds of risks that are associated with that. There is also the ability to find the right property in the right place, in the right market, to get it at the right price so you can make money, or to hold it for some time for the property to appreciate in value. So when you sell it, you can make the difference between the cost, the value of the property, and the price you sold it at, which is generally called your equity, right? Now, the third way and the easiest way, I believe, for most people is through the US stock market. Because number one, the US stock market doesn't have any restriction on other than the fact that you need to be legal in America, you need to have a social security number, and then you can open an account. And I think for even people who live out of America, there are different platforms like eToro, like something broker, I forget the name. I think Mumu too. These are some platforms that can invest in the US market if you're out of America, but you might have to pay some higher fees. I'm not very sure. You need to check on that if that is your interest. But for most people who live in America, especially immigrants, there is no opportunity like investing on the stock market because it doesn't matter your income. It doesn't matter your social standing in life. It doesn't matter your intelligence. It doesn't matter your degree. It doesn't matter your work experience. As long as you dedicate yourself to invest any amount of money that you can afford to spare from your paycheck, from your earnings, you can extrapolate what the future holds for you. Now, when I talk about investing, I'm not talking here about trading because I really believe trading is gambling, right? The numbers tell me that 95% of traders don't make money in the long run. Only 5% of traders make money. And of those 5% that make money, about 90% of them barely break even. So only about 1% make any money that is significant. Just to give you a sense, I don't know of any billionaire trader. I know only of billionaire investors like Warren Buffett, like Charles Munger, like all these other guys, right? They have made billions of dollars investing in companies through the stock market. So it is important to understand that everybody can have a piece of the stock market cake depending on your desire, depending on how much money you're willing to put on that, and also depending on how much time you have to build that portfolio. It is also interesting to understand that when it comes to investing, especially investing on the stock market, you need to understand that the US stock market has 10,000 companies. And of those 10,000 companies, only about 1% of them are companies that have proven record and are companies that you can invest in and hold for the long term and build significant value. Yes, I understand. Oh, if you invested in Microsoft 30 years ago, $1,000, today you will be a millionaire. True. If you bought shares of Netflix 22 20 in the year 2002 with $1,000, $10,000 invested in Netflix, today you will be worth about 7 million. If you had bought $10,000 worth of Nvidia shares in the early 2000s, you will be worth 10 million today. I understand all of that. But here is the thing that doesn't really explain in detail. Nobody has a crystal ball to have noted that. Nobody could foresee that these companies were going to be what they are today. That is why, personally, I am of the school of thought that investing is actually a vehicle to build value and wealth over time, not in the short run. And also, for most people, you have no business investing in individual companies. You have to be investing in index funds or in mutual funds or in exchange traded funds. My preferred are index funds and exchange traded funds, just because mutual funds have a lot of fees because they're actively managed. An exchange traded fund is actually a basket of stocks, right? It could be within an industry or it could be within a certain category. So instead of investing on individual Microsoft, for example, it's a great company. I know Microsoft is going to be a market leader for the next 20 years, but everything comes to an end, right? So, if something happens to Microsoft, then you lose significantly if you are betting a lot on that individual company. But when you invest in an ETF, you are investing in a group of companies within a certain category. So you are buying a piece of a basket of companies, which involves Microsoft, Tesla, Nvidia, Oracle, name it, all the top technology companies. So for most people, especially clients I coach, I tell them, listen, most people will do exceedingly well just investing in basic ETFs. Nothing complex, nothing complicated. Because I remember when I started my own investment journey, I always thought investing in the stock market was reserved for the most intelligent people, for the smartest people, for the girls and boys who were the A grade guys in class, for the people who understand finance, who have a degree and things like that. Because coming from Cameroon, where I was brought up, I was raised to understand that there is a correlation between intelligence, the volume of energy and time you put in work, and the output in terms of financial gains. But what the US stock market, investing in the US stock market taught me is that there is strategy in wealth building. I have lived in America now for 25 years. Three of those 25, I was back in Africa to do business. But, I used to come. So 25 years, let's take 25 years, for example. In those 25 years that I've been in America, if I was investing $100 a month, in an S&P 500 ETF that averages 10% a year, I would be sitting today somewhere about 100 and something thousand dollars. And that is on $100 a month. It doesn't even take into account the change in my income as the years went by. It doesn't even take into account the fact that my income astronomically increased from about year four all the way to when I used to work in the IT industry 3 years ago. So where am I going with this? I am going with this to the fact that yes, everybody can really genuinely aspire to be a millionaire. If you are an immigrant in America, because a lot of the people who listen to me a lot of times are immigrants because they can connect with the fact that we come from out of America. There is no country like America. There's no question about that, right? There is no country that gives immigrants the opportunity to build significant value, a significant life, significant wealth and provide a platform for entrepreneurship like America. The beautiful thing too about that is every time you invest on the US stock market, choosing the right companies at the right price, you are almost always guaranteed to make money if you just are patient, if you just hold on to it. Because at the end of the day, the stock market ends up going up. And this is not me saying so. This is 110 years of statistics and data that indicates. And when you think about 110, even just take the last 40 years, look at all the disasters that have happened over those years, all the upheavals on the market, including what happened this morning when Jerome Powell announced not really announced, but indicated through some utterances that there are slimmer chances that there will be any additional rate cuts this year. The market reacted and dropped. Now, for those who don't understand how the stock market works, they will be panicking and selling their positions. But for the people who understand and who are willing to hold for the long term, they will be getting those companies at a discount. For example, when the market dropped this morning, I increased my position in Microsoft. I bought more Microsoft shares. I bought more Eli Lilly shares. I bought more Nvidia shares. I also bought one additional company, Costco. I bought more Costco shares because these are companies that dropped. And I also bought Meta too, Meta, Facebook, right? These are companies I know will be very valuable now and going forward. These are companies I call tennis ball companies because you need to understand that on the stock market, there are two kinds of companies on the US stock market. There is the egg companies and there's the tennis ball companies, right? I learned that from one of my mentors, Adam Cool. The tennis ball company are companies that even during downturns, when they drop, they'll have a way to, they'll still rise. The egg companies are companies that when they drop, they break. Now, what is the difference between the egg company and the tennis ball companies? The tennis ball companies are companies that have enough capital, number one. Number two, they have enough financial reserves. So during difficult times, they can still sustain the business. Number three, they have a very, very strong market advantage, which means when it comes to their competitors, it is hard for their competitors to take away business from them. Number four, these are companies that have a lot of brand recognition. Number five, these are companies that also are hard for people to leave them and switch to other companies. That is how you judge a company that is a tennis ball company. So during times of difficulties, during times like what we experience in COVID, or when there is a black swan event or there's a downturn in the market, these companies, even though they drop, you know that they are going to rise again. Think about a company like United Health, UNH. United Health, a few months ago, before their CEO was shot, and there was a scandal about them not wanting to pay insurance benefits to hospitals and things, and to reimburse healthcare costs. United Health was selling at about $650. And United Health dropped all the way to less than $200. I was lucky I caught it somewhere about $245. And since then, I've been increasing my position on United Health. Today, United Health is 200, 350 something dollars, right? And you know for a fact that it's going to go back to 600 and something dollars. It's just a matter of time. That is a tennis ball company, because even when the company drops, even when the price of the company drops, you know that it's going to go up again. And so when you are an investor, you need to understand that there's a difference between an investor and a trader. A lot of what you hear today is the hype about trading. I personally believe trading is gambling. Okay. The reason why is because 95% of traders lose money in the long term. Only 5% of traders make money. And the 5% that make money, 90% of them actually just break even. Only about 1% makes profits, right? Traders will tell you only about the days that they made money. Oh, I made $2,000 today. They don't tell you that the last 2 months they've lost $5,000 in bad trades. Even the traders who trade on the stock market, even traders who have been trained to trade, they lose money. So don't waste your time trying to trade. Don't waste your time trying to beat the market. Don't waste your time trying to time the market to see when it will go down so that you can buy at a discount. Don't do those things. You're going to lose. When you're investing, you need to understand the US stock market is a platform that gives you a chance to build wealth slowly over time. It's not a platform to come and buy a lotto ticket and stand a chance to win $1 billion tomorrow. No, it's not that kind of platform. And I'm worried because more and more we are getting the indication for more and more people on social media that you can use the US stock market to make money quick. It is not designed like that. Take Warren Buffett, for example, who is the most popular investor of all times. This guy averaged 19% a year in returns over his career. And listen, this is astronomical. This is crazy. He averaged 19%. This is a person who started investing when he was 11 years old, and he invested all the way till retiring this year as CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, right about 92 years old. So he's been investing for about 80 years, guys. You know the interesting thing? You know the interesting thing? He made 99% of his money after his 60th birthday. So I want you to understand what I'm saying here, guys. I want you to take a step back, take a breath, take a deep breath. Let me take a sip too. Oh my God. This guy made 99% of his wealth after his 60th birthday. So think about it. He started investing at 11, right? Maybe he really got serious with investing at 30 years old. So between 30 and 60, he has been investing for 30 years. I mean, he made millions before, he made his first billion like 40 years ago or more, right? So he was already a billionaire by 30, 35. But think about it. After the age of 60, investing for about 30 something years, between 60 and 92 years, the second 32 years of his life, that's when he made 99% of his money. Why is that the case? Because the first 30 years was the accumulation phase, giving the money a big amount to be able to compound. There was a point where Warren Buffett was making $700 million in dividends alone. $700 million in dividends. Apple made more money for Warren Buffett from 2008 to 2020, from 2006 to, 2016 to 2025. Apple made more money for Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway than all other investments put together. It's not because he bought Apple 1 year and sold it 1 year after. He bought it and held it for 9 years. What I tell my coaching clients, I tell them very simply, if you're trying to invest, you're trying to work with me and you're planning to buy and hold for 5 years and sell, please, I'm not the kind of person who will be coaching you. I coach people who want to invest for 10 years and over and above, because that is when you see the impact of investing. That is when you see the impact of putting money aside, no matter the amount of money, to have returns that are significant. You only see that impact when you really have time. Let me show you something here. Just hang on. Let me share my screen with you, okay? Let me share my screen with you. Um, Let me see here. Let me just share my screen with you real quick and show you something that is important to understand. Because in this game of investing, right, it's important to understand the power of how these things work. Now, look at the screen in front. Look at what I'm sharing to you on the screen. This is This is a scale, a timing calendar that indicates exactly how long it takes to build 100,000 portfolio. Okay. So let's say you are investing $833 a month. Your goal is to invest $10,000 every year, and you're investing $833 a month, right? It will take you 7.6 years to build your first $100,000. Now, if you continue investing $833 every month, it will take you another 4.7 years to go from $100,000 to $200,000. Continue doing the same thing, it will take you 3.4 years to go from 200,000 to 300. Continue doing the same thing, it will take you 2.7 years to go from 300 to 400. Another 2.2 years from 400,000 to 500. Another 2 years from 500,000 to 600,000. And 1.6 years from 600 to 700, 1.4 from 700 to 800, 1.3 from 800 to 900, and 1.2 years to get you to 1 million from 900. If you notice, as the amount grows, it takes you less time to get to your next goal. That is the power of investing for the long term, because it is all about that compounding. I know you might have heard about this quite a few times, but it should never get old, because trust me, this is your train ticket out of poverty. This is your train ticket to wealth and riches. Especially if you're an immigrant in America, you're wondering what you need to do in order to take advantage of this country. This is your train ticket. You see, a lot of people spend money investing in frivolous investments, in things that don't make sense. They hear about, I remember recently there was a scooter company that was a scam and people lost money. And in that company, I talked to somebody and they were told that if they invest $1,000 or $2,000 every month, they have guaranteed $2,000 coming to them. No, that's not true. There's no business that guarantees you return every year. That's a fake business. Guys, the only way you make money in investing is investing in real, proven, and trusted companies like what we have on the stock market. You see, a lot of immigrants come into America, and unfortunately, they come from backgrounds of lack, backgrounds of poverty, and from backgrounds where they feel like the greatest joy they can have in life is accumulating things. Let me tell you where the real flex is in life. The real flex is freedom. The real flex is the ability to invest money that gives you the ability to be in total control of your time, your space, and what you want to do when you want to do. That is the real flex. I'm 48 years old right now, going to be 49 years old, and a lot of things have been clear to me over the last 10 years when I started my investing journey. And as we get along at the different live show, I'm going to be sharing my portfolio, sharing to you some of the things I've done. And if you're new to the channel, just go ahead and subscribe. So every time we have a live, you'll be able to be part of that live and you'll learn something from it. I plan to be doing a live show every day for the next 364 days. And I pray that you hold me to this commitment, right? So I can deliver this. I'm making it public so that way I have the pressure to deliver on that. But my goal is that even if it's 10 people, even if it's 20 people who believe, who understand, who want to follow the dream, you hop on, commit to the channel. I will share a link down in the description section of this video, which you can use to join our community. That way, you will get on the path to building wealth. I will start showing you the ways by which you can start building significant wealth from wherever you are with whatever you have, and how to position that money so that slowly but surely in the next 10, 15, 20 years, you'll be looking back at what you've accumulated from a pay raise, from a pay that might not be significant in your eyes. You will not believe. There is a study that indicates that people making $60,000 and less save more than many people who make $100,000 and more. I want that to sink in. That there's a bigger number of people saving money who make $60,000 and less than people who make $100,000 and more. I want that to sink in. Why is that the case? Because you have to understand, especially if you're watching me from the US, you live in America. America is designed to be a capitalistic country. America is designed to drive you, push you in every way possible to spend money even when you don't need to. I was just thinking about it the other day, driving around with my wife. I said, one of the fastest growing businesses in Texas today is storage business. Yes, I know there's a percentage that is for people who do online businesses, so they use it to store their merchandise and ship. But a big part of storages are just people who have too many goods at home, too many things. They don't have a space in their garage and in their houses. They need a storage to go store it there. I have friends who had storages for 5 years when they moved. And you ask yourself, why do we buy all those things? What do we need it for? Meanwhile, we could invest that money on the stock market, build significant wealth, and with that wealth, we bequeath a lasting legacy. There is nothing more important, especially for people who are believers. I'm a believer of the word. I'm a Christian. And please, if you're not, that's okay. I'm not judging nobody. But I'm just saying that the word says that a good man leaves an inheritance. I remember one time a few years ago, I was watching a comedy show by the great Chris. I think it's Chris Rock. And he said something funny. Chris Rock said, when a white man dies, he leaves a will, and when the black guy dies, he leaves a bill. And that thing struck me. It hit me right there. Boom. Gustav, you got to be careful. Do you want to leave a will or do you want to leave a bill? When you are no longer on this side of eternity, how do you want to be remembered, boy? Do you want to be remembered as somebody who left a burden on his family, who at the point where he died, his family couldn't move forward? They had to sell their home. They had to raise money by asking people publicly to donate to his funeral fund. Or do you want to be somebody who lives a beautiful, good, purpose-driven life, and when you die, you bequeath something significant to your spouse, to your children, and to thousands of people who are looking up to you around the globe? That is my dream. That is my goal. What is your goal? What is it you're looking at? What is it you want to do with your life? Whatever it is you want to do with your life, yes, I understand money is not the do it all or earn it all, but you know what? Many people say money is not that important, but I believe it is up there with oxygen because it is better to cry in a Mercedes than on a bicycle, right? It's better to cry in a Mercedes than on a bicycle. So, guy, lady, let nobody deceive you. Go out there and build significant wealth on the US stock market. Invest money in the market. Bet on America. Bet on the US stock market. Bet on the companies on the US stock market. Bet on the Microsofts. Bet on the Nvidias. Bet on the Teslas. Bet on the Costco's. Bet on Walmart. A lot of people ask me, Gustav, how can I start investing on the US stock market? Of course, you can start just by the things you use every day. When you wake up in the morning, do you use Colgate to brush your teeth? Ask yourself, Colgate, who is the producer of Colgate? Look behind Colgate toothpaste. You will see the name of the manufacturer. Go and check if they have if their stocks are sold on the US stock market. Buy some. Where do you go for shopping? You go to Walmart, buy some Walmart shares. That way, when Walmart is taking your money for the produce and goods you buy from Walmart, at the end of 3 months, they will give you dividends because you own their company shares. That is how wise people think. That's how smart people think. That's how intelligent people think. We are living in a time today when intelligence has nothing to do with education. A lot of people are educated, but they are dumb because sometimes education makes educated people overcomplicate simple things. Investing on the stock market is the easiest path to wealth for everybody. 70% of people want to own their own business, aspire to be their own bosses. Only 3% are going to be. That is not by accident. That is not by mistake. It is a good thing. I'm an entrepreneur, so I believe in free enterprise. I believe in entrepreneurship. I encourage people to become entrepreneurs. But you know what? There is more hype around entrepreneurship than reality. Over 80% of people who are going to be millionaires are going to be millionaires from earning income from a job. The key is what you do with that income that comes in. The key is how you position it to multiply. Because a lot of people think about what they comes in as a fruit, not as a seed to plant. Your income is not a fruit, it's a seed. So what you do, I will give you a free hack here. This is free game I'm giving you today. Pay yourself first. I'm sure you've heard it before, but you don't really understand what it means. Automate your systems. Understand that you need a financial system. Most people fail not because they don't make enough, they just don't have a system to help guide their money. Those are the things I'm teaching in my communities. And by the way, if you're new, you want to join my community, I will leave a link down in the description of this video. Click on that link and you'll be able to join my private communities on WhatsApp. And you also subscribe to this channel and you'll join our newsletter community. I'm preparing a very interesting and very engaging challenge coming up soon, and I'm going to be announcing that in the next few weeks. But you know what? My goal is to help transform lives because my life has been transformed by investing on the US stock market, by learning how to invest, by learning how to manage your money. You see, people spend a lot of times going to school, coming out working for 30, 40 years, making sure they are very careful. They never miss a break. They never go late to work. They never give their managers an opportunity to fire them. But they don't want to think about how to learn how to manage their money, which is the thing that comes out of their sweat. And by the time they know it, they are 50, 60. There's still more years ahead of, in front of the money. They don't have enough in their retirement account. Statistics are telling us that a lot of baby boomers, over 60% of baby boomers, over 60% of baby boomers don't have enough to live if their retirement years stretch beyond 10 years or something like that. I need to get the statistics perfect, but you can go research it. There is an epidemic, there is a problem. And I don't think the problem has only been an earning problem. Yes, I understand inflation has risen. I understand earnings have not moved as fast as inflation. Salaries have not grown as fast as inflation. But I think one of the biggest challenges people are facing in America is the endless desire for things. I'm guilty. I used to be that way until I got to control myself and started learning why it is important to decide on those things. Part of it is my job. I am a professional MC. People hire me to come and host events. And so I have a lot of suits. I have over 30 suits. I have shoes. But I really don't use them as much because I realize a lot of the events I go to over the last 2, 3 years, I rotate around 5 suits and about 2 pairs of shoes that are comfortable. At 49, I don't want to deal with too much discomfort anymore. So the shoe might look beautiful, but it's not very comfortable. So you know what I've been doing of late? I've been auctioning those things on websites where they accept some of those things to sell. And they take their piece and give me my own piece. I don't care whether it's $100. It's $100 that if I invest 10 years from today is going to be $1,000. So basically, I transform that 200 pair of shoes into $1,000 10 years from today. At least I redeem something. Guys, I hope this means something to you. I just wanted to encourage somebody today to understand the power of investing, to understand why it is important to not stop, to get started, even if you can start with $5, start because it's all about the mindset. It's all about the habit. All the bad habits we have in our lives is because we replicated it over and over. Why don't you replicate a good habit of investing? Because that is what is going to push you forward. I pray you have a great day. I will see you at the top for sure. And subscribe to the channel. Let's stay connected. Share this with anybody you know who need it. Many people need it, especially in this tough time. I'll see you soon. God be with you. God bless you. Take care.